The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Merry meet everyone, and welcome to Stirring the Cauldron's Masterclass. I see the professor is walking up to the podium. So, take a seat, get comfortable. The class is ready to begin.
Merry meet everybody, and welcome. Tonight we're going to pick up where we left off 2 weeks ago with Denny Sargent's masterclass. It was Feral Magic, Unleash Your Animal Self. Time flew by and there was no more time to talk, so he's back. Now, if you missed the first part and you want to hear it before you catch up with this one, go over to the show's YouTube channel, which is Stirring the Cauldron Para X, or it's easy to find on my website, marlabrooks.com, and click on the Masterclass Archives link on the menu. As usual, if you're in the Para X chat room, you can ask questions and share comments. And if you're not here and you're listening to the live podcast, come join us here at paraxradionetwork.com. So, hi Denny, welcome back to finish the class.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, me too, because we were on a roll, delving into your new book and some good stuff. So, yeah, thanks for coming back.
Oh, my I'm hyperactive. I love this stuff.
Oh, good. It would be bad if you just give a little talk about what the book is about, and then we'll get a little bit deeper into it.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm going to be talking about my book, Feral Magic, and we kind of got partway into it last time because we had so many interesting things to talk about. But I want to, I thought what I'd do is I'd start with a comment that was put in front at the very beginning of the book. An author that I really respect very, very much. He's written a lot of really fantastic books. His name is Tony Mrzwecki, and he's the author of let me see if I can get it right. Hellenismos, Practicing Greek Polytheism Today. But he's written a number of books. He's extremely intelligent and sharp, and I was very honored that he wrote a little blurb for me. So I thought this is a really nice intro to what I'm going to be talking about and the book. So, ever wonder why the earliest system of magic, shamanism, and witchcraft are so effective despite not utilizing grimoires? These systems grew out of animism, an understanding that everything is alive, and the world is full of nature spirits who can guide those who are open to them. So many live in urban centers today, divorced from nature and their own primal animal selves. Paganism is very earth-based or nature-oriented, but for many this is limited to harmonizing with the harvest calendar and working the wheel of the year. While a step in the right direction, it stops well short of what can be achieved. Feral or wild magic is an escape from the domestication of the modern world, so as to revert to a wild condition. The process utilizes techniques to leave behind the ego and assume the primal consciousness of the animal self in order to communicate and bond with nature spirits and their powers. This results in a free-flowing, intuitive practice standing in stark contrast to rigid, grimoire-based workings. This will be an end in itself for some, while for others it will be something to be incorporated or amplified into existing practices. I'm gonna jump in with at least one or two more. I'm very impressed that some of these people wrote much more eloquent things than I did.
I know the feeling.
So this is a fantastic woman and pagan and witch and all the, I think witches and all those things, but she's a very powerful person. Her name is Lupa. She's written a number of books, and the one that she noted here is The Tarot of Bones, a Deccan book. At a time when so many of us feel that we are disconnected from the rest of nature, feral magic offers a way of rewilding ourselves in body and spirit. By opening ourselves to an animistic worldview, we are invited to return to who and what we once were and never really ceased to be. I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll do one more.
Okay.
This is an author of erotic liberation, The Adventures of God. He's written many, many books. He goes by the name Entelechia. And the little blurb here is, feral magic is a call to unshackle the domesticated mind and awaken the wild intelligence within. Denny Sargent weaves a path of initiation that is as inevitable as it is transformational, reminding us that true power is not taken, but embodied. Remember what you were before the world told you otherwise. I really like that quote.
Yeah, that is a good quote. I think I've got a question here already, but I have to get it here.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, good. I found it. She says, as a feline lover and know how wonderful they are in our lives, why are cats so infrequently spoken of in a positive manner in pagan rituals?
Oh, well, I was I still am. I've been a witch since the 1970s. I am a third degree Welsh traditional witch from New York City, and almost everybody in my coven had cats. So I think a lot of witches and a lot of pagans, and I hang out with a lot of different occultists and all sorts of kinds. I have a dog, but almost everyone else I work with has cats. So I suspect that there are places, and I'm in Seattle. A lot of people have cats. A lot of occultists I know have cats. But in general, so my primary focus has been a wolf. The spirit that I work with a lot is a wolf spirit. And I wrote two books. One is called Werewolf Magic, and the other is called Werewolf Pack Magic. So that has been one of my primary things. But I work with a lot of people who have cats, and a lot of people do a lot of amazingly potent things by working with cats. If your cat is more than a familiar, if your cat has a strong energy behind it, it becomes an animistic being. Animism animism goes back 4,000 years. So, excuse me, 40,000 years. And it's the beginning, very likely the beginning of all religions. This I've gotten from several different sites. In that time, in the ancient world, long before there was any organized religion, the people in caves and whatnot, they believed that everything was alive. And today, animistic professors will use that phrase, that everything is alive. So the sun is alive, cats are alive, dogs are alive, wolves are alive, trees are alive. They all have spirits. As I've been writing books over the years, I've gotten more and more feral, meaning I've left a lot of the things that our world insists that we must do, and are the parameters and the boxes that we live in. And what I've come to understand is when I open myself up in nature with a number of ways that are techniques from shamans that I have hung out with in Guatemala, and also Russian shamans that I've hung out with. When you peel away all the stuff that we've been brainwashed about in our culture and in our world, then when you go into nature and you open up with the understanding or the expecting that things are alive, then things actually do. You are able to open up and able to work with beings, spirits, however you want to call them, energies that are there. I've done a number of classes. In fact, I'm going to Starwood on the 15th, and I'll be doing 3 large presentations there. If anybody's in Ohio, if anybody wants to go to that place. And last year I did the same thing. I did some work with these animistic spirits. I had no idea whether it would work or not, and it went very, very well. People were seeing and working with spirits within a short period of time. So you have a cat. I'm coming back. I haven't forgotten you.
She's got about 12 or 10. Yeah, she has a lot of cats.
Really?
Yes.
So I think the book actually would be very useful for you, because if you have that many cats, I would be willing to guess that at least one of them is also essentially an animistic spirit, or has come to you. What I talk about in the book is when we open up to this world, to the world of everything being open and everything being alive. If you're seeking for an animal, and I have a whole section in the book about animal spirits, or spirit animals, is what I prefer. You don't get a chance to decide which of these spirits comes to you that you want to work with. It's a very open thing. The animal spirits will come to you if they are drawn to you. And you may want to call on a crow, and in fact another bird comes, maybe a raven or a robin or something. In other words, spirits come to you. And this is a major issue to talk about in terms of animism and in terms of the book. So if you have that many cats, my guess would be if you sit somewhere and just sort of spend a little time opening up to not just your animals, but also you're looking for a spiritual entity, an entity that is a cat that flows with an animistic spirit. A cat, cats, there are many animistic cats out there, animistic spirits. And I would say if you sit and you open yourself up, one of those cat spirits will come to you and basically let you know, like, I'm not just a cat. I'm something more, and I want to work with you.
She said she thinks she knows which one.
There you go.
Yeah.
And the physical cat itself doesn't matter as much as when you're asleep or when you're walking without your cat, that spirit will flow with you, will be there. I mean, I think I mentioned this at the last thing, but when I hadn't planned to be involved in this at all. I do a lot of other occult things, and I'm a tantric and I meditate every night, and I went through a very, very rough time, and I had a very tight circle around me. All of you who do witchcraft and do magical work understand what I mean. Mm-hmm. And I was chanting and doing work with Shiva and Kali and other things, and this wolf spirit started showing up in my circle, and I thought it was nuts. I thought I was losing my mind, and I ignored it for, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 days, maybe more. And finally, it wouldn't leave, and I had a very tight circle, and I couldn't figure out what it was doing there. And I looked at it, and I said point blank, "What are you doing here?" And it looked at me, and I got a very clear message to my mind. It said, "You are in a lot of bad shape. You're really in bad shape. You're not doing well. You're going to crash. I'm here to help you. You've been calling on me. You don't even realize you've been calling on me, but you have a connection with wolves, and I'm here to help you." And I ignored it for a couple of days, and then I finally said, "Okay, what do you want me to do?" And it told me what to do. It said, "I want you to go at midnight. I want you to go out into the woods, and I want you to tear off your clothes and let your animal out." And I said, "Okay, I'll go out there and I'll follow this, and I'll let my animal self out, and I'll shut down my brain. I'll shut down all that crap in my head, and I will just let my primordial self out." And I felt 100% better. And then later on, it said, "Okay, now go into the woods." I live in Seattle. I went up into the mountains. There's cougars and bears and everything else up there. And I camped out in the middle of nowhere. And I did the same thing. I ripped off everything, and it gave me more suggestions and more ideas of exactly what to do and how to get into that state of pure animal consciousness. And then the wolf spirit basically started working directly with me physically. And I had amazing experiences. I could see in the night. I could see at night, which I could never do before. I actually snuck up on a deer and scared it. I snuck up on a raccoon and scared it. So I went through all this stuff, and I came back home and I was 100% better. And I looked back and realized, oh, I almost had like a nervous breakdown. I almost had this problem and this problem. So since then, I've been working directly with the spirits for various things. For example, I just had somebody visiting me, and we were talking about, I have trees in my backyard. Several of them are 300 years old and very powerful, very potent, and I work with them. And I have arthritis. I have problems with my lower back and arthritis. And about a week ago, I was in incredible pain, and the doctors just wanted to throw medications at me. And I went out under the full moon, and I just leaned against the tree, and I started talking to it and said, I am in so much pain. I don't know what to do. And I got a very clear message to like lean against the tree and let go, like just let go. And I did it for quite a long time. And I opened up. A lot of this is, if you don't open up to the energy, then none of that stuff's going to happen to you. And I opened up, and all this energy started flowing into me. I got a very clear message from the earth and from the trees saying, look, just ask for help. You humans are so locked into your head, you don't ask, the nature spirits and nature for help. And I did. I realized, and I lay there and I said, help. I need help. Help me. I'm in a lot of pain. And I was suddenly, all this stuff flowed through me. I felt better. And the next day I had no pain at all. And I haven't had pain since. So that was, I don't know what I said, about a month ago. So these things are real. I mean, primordial people, prehistoric, cave dwellers, they were working with these entities. They were working with this magic. You can look it up online and just see what kind of things they did, how they buried their dead with certain colored rocks and things. And this is the origin of all rituals. They basically just saw and worked directly with these entities, these beings, these animals, and managed to live well and managed to have a relationship. We've managed to cut off almost all our relationships with everything that's alive. And we've been told, and we've been programmed, and we've been, we've gone through lots and lots of different levels in our culture. And that these things aren't real. What's real is in your head. What's real is, people are superior. Animals don't count, really. This is what is in a lot of things. So that's the base of my Feral Magic book. And then I can ask, or you can ask me questions, or I can talk about what's in the book that might be of interest to you.
There's a question for me. You can have a whole bunch of cats, dogs around you and everything. Some people might not look for it, but do they still come to you knowing that they're not going to pay any attention?
I don't really talk so much about real cats and real dogs. If you have a whole bunch of cats like that lovely woman does, the best is to sit outside alone and say, okay, I know, like if you already have that feeling, like she just said to you, I know which one it is.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, cats and animals can carry the spirits, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't need that. You can go into the woods and you can sit and say and open yourself to the spirits. I did this with groups of people who, after a time when we went into a trance state, I use rattles, and I use humming, and I have techniques that I got from shamans and other things. I am not a shaman. I don't like people saying that they are unless they are indigenous people. So, but I picked up some techniques that work in terms of going into a trance and opening up. You can go
Mhm.
into a light trance and open up to your pile of cats or dogs, but I think it's actually more important to be out in nature.
Mhm.
The if you're in a hotel room or you're in an apartment, you're not going to have access to the spirit animals. That you need to be in nature and you need to be in real nature. So I tell people right away, like, don't just walk in a park. Go into the forest and go into the deepest, quietest forest where there aren't a lot of people, where there's still a lot of energy and the spirits are still really happy. And if you want to think about, dogs, or you want to think about cats, or you want to think about something else like crows or ravens or whatever, go out into nature where there's nothing but you and do some of the practices I've got in my book and just open and wait and see. Once you've shut down, once you've quieted your brain and you're open, all of a sudden you'll start to see things. So the first part of my book, I spent a lot of time talking about how to walk with consciously in the wilderness, in a real forest that is pure and open, and there's lots going on. And I start by telling them, first thing you want to do is you want to focus on one thing at a time, and that would be your senses. What you hear, what you smell, what you taste, what you touch, etc. Right?
Mhm.
So I have people spend time because we're all wound up and we're all so full of moving as quickly as we can to for example, walk for 30, 40 minutes and do nothing but smell and ignore all your other senses. And what happens is if you can focus the way your brain is working. I mean, I was a professor. I taught university. If you can focus what's happening in your crazy electric brain. If you just focus on, for example, scent, smelling or listening, and just only listen and take a walk, all of a sudden you can hear all the birds, all the animals rustling. You can hear everything. Your brain will focus on that, and all of a sudden you're going to be entering the animistic world. You're going to be entering the world, the real world of nature and energy. So that's the first thing I say is start with that. Start with what you hear, and then, you know, 30, 40 minutes later, what you smell. Do nothing but smelling. And by focusing on one kind of neurological intake, then all of a sudden everything changes. Or what you taste. Like I have people like taste a leaf that they know is safe and taste, a grass and taste, various things that are safe. But all of a sudden, if you're focusing only on that, all of a sudden this new world opens up, unfolds. And what you're doing is you're attracting the nature spirits because they hone in like, oh, this is a person who is paying attention to nature, not what their homework is, not what their job is, not what they got to buy in the store, not what they're upset about, not the TV that they just they just bought, or the TV show that they just watched. Our brains are constantly spinning around in stuff that is not happening as you walk through the woods. I can't
Mhm.
tell you how many times I've walked through the woods and watched people yakking with each other, taking pictures, smoking, and ignoring all the beauty, all the power, everything around them. So
Yes.
that's like the most important thing I can tell people right now is go into the woods and shut down your brain, blah, 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 and try breaking it down to these senses. And all of a sudden, once you see it open up, whether it's taste or whatever, all of a sudden you'll be like, wow. Like the one I think I like to start with is listening. Just walk through a path in the woods and listen. If you shut down everything else and focus intently, which is very hard for most people who are ADD, like a lot of people are like, they've got too many things going on in their head, right? But if you can get to that point where you're only listening and you're not thinking about it, you're just listening, all of a sudden you'll hear dozens of birds. You'll hear more than you ever thought. You'll suddenly hear the rustling of various trees. You'll hear the rustling of leaves on pine trees, yeah, I guess they're not leaves, but pine trees, maple leaves, and all of a sudden you'll hear the difference. And then you'll hear the rustling of, the snake in the woods or whatever. You'll hear everything. And what you're doing is you're opening up your lower cortex, not your upper cortex, which is all the blah, blah, blah going on. Your primal brain, what Carl Sagan called the dragon mind, that is the key to everything. Because if you're in a point of just being and not thinking, and not thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking, and not thinking about anything, if you're just experiencing, all of a sudden the nature spirits start to come out to you. And the first time I actually managed to get to that point, there's little wisps of light in the air, and you can start to see and you can start to feel. And you can walk up to a tree and touch it and say, yes, this one is awake and wants to work with me. This one is asleep, So it's not so complicated. As I've written a number of books and I've been involved in lots of different esoteric groups, I've come to this very, very simplistic view of animism and spirits in nature, because everything's there and you don't need a lot of efforts. You don't need a book. There's a few things I recommend, like having a rattle and certain humming levels. I do one with groups of people that's and I repeat it over and over, because it's an effective one. It puts you into an altered state. So, and I've had different things, different techniques I use, but the bottom line is there's no real like grimoire for you to read, or there's no book of shadows you don't need that. You go into the woods, you go into the forest, you open yourself up, you start to pay attention, you start to shut down your upper cortex and open your lower cortex, and they're there. And then I've got a bunch of other things in this book, of course, like sensing nature, instinct, intuition, and insight are three really important aspects of what this book is about. Instinct is we have primal instincts that we have forgotten. We've cemented everything into our upper cortex. So most people don't really know they have instinct, though they feel it. They feel it. Instinct, intuition, and insight are the three most important primal parts of your mind. So anyway, that's a beginning.
And that's a good place to stop for a minute, because we're going to have to take a break. But there's a lot of other questions that pop up here and there, and and I got like 30 seconds, but where I am, I have birds all the time, night and day, birds, 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 birds. And it just makes it, and this is an urban area, but, with all the different birds chirping and squawking and all this, I mean, it makes you feel really good. Even if you don't want to, get real deep into it, it changes your whole atmosphere.
Absolutely. And if you sat there with those birds and opened yourself up to seeing which one of those birds wants to work with you, it will.
Strangely enough, the hummingbirds are the ones that are really, they come to you, they have some of them are really smart and some of them are not so smart. Some of them chase the other ones around. I mean, they're really cute. And you would think, I mean, I go out and talk to the crows or the ravens or whatever they are,
Mhm.
but these little hummingbirds, they make me laugh because they're just so open, not afraid, and just, okay, here I am, and don't let that one over here. And, it's really, really cute.
If one
So,
comes to you, then hold on to that. I mean,
oh yeah,
connect.
yeah, I do. They got names. Every animal around here has names. The feral ones. But anyway, all right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in about 2 minutes. So everybody hang in there, and it'll be back before you know it.
Great.
Don't go away. There's more Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks right after these important messages.
Hi, this is Marla, and if you're enjoying tonight's masterclass and you want to hear it again, you'll be able to find it at the show's YouTube channel, which is Stirring the Cauldron Para X. And it'll be up there, well, forever. And you'll also find dozens of Stirring the Cauldron podcasts as well. And while you're there, why not subscribe? It's free. And whatever metaphysical area you're interested in, you'll find something to catch your eye, I'm sure. Well, thank you for listening in to tonight's class, and now I'll let you get back to your regular scheduled programming.
What if everything you thought you knew about time, free will, and reality was wrong? Unified reality theory dares to bridge science, philosophy, and religion to uncover the true nature of existence. Controversial? Yes. Mind-expanding? Absolutely. Find out what everyone will be talking about. Join the conversation now. Unified Reality Theory, now available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Get your copy today, because reality isn't as simple as it seems.
Demons, vampires, werewolves, skinwalkers, all of this and more, Sunday nights at midnight on the Staring Into the Abyss radio show. Come, get lost with us.
I was in the hospital with my son for 18 months.
When he got injured, I wasn't prepared, but I knew I had to be strong.
When I was told about John's injury, I was in complete shock. I just remember rushing into his room and giving him a big hug and letting him know I was there.
These veterans and families are just a few of the heroes we serve at Homes for Our Troops. For thousands of severely injured veterans, everyday life is filled with barriers.
It was really the little things throughout the house. Counters that you can't roll up to. I had to drag my wheelchair down steps.
I want to help, but he is so determined.
At Homes for Our Troops, we build specially adapted custom homes with features like wheelchair access, roll-in showers, and automatic door openers that allow them to function independently and focus on their recovery and family.
This house is freedom. It's hope. It's a new beginning.
This house has given me my family back.
To learn more, visit hfotusa.org.
Welcome back to Stirring the Cauldron. Once again, here's your host, Marla Brooks.
And our professor tonight is Denny Sargent, and we're talking about his new book, Feral Magick, and more stuff. I got a question.
Sure.
Yeah, once in a while I come up with one. There's some people that don't have a forest around them, but they're at the beach. You can kind of do the same thing at the beach?
Oh yeah. You could be out in the desert. The trick is to get to some place that isn't just overrun with people and has chased all the spiritual energy away. So yeah, beaches are great, especially if you can get a beach where there's nothing there or very little there, or go hiking in the desert. Or I mean, I did camel riding in the Sahara Desert. That was really powerful. There was very little there. There was a lot of energy there, and there was a lot of spirits there. So yeah, it doesn't have to just be forest. I live here, and the forest is kind of most common, but yeah, I'm open to someplace as long as it's a place that's feral, that's open, that's alive, and not
Mhm.
open,
Yeah, yeah, okay, just that. Now there's another one from Tabby, and she said, if I'm outside and deer are in my yard drinking from my bird baths, if I'm still, they move on, and my heart is humbled that they trust me that I won't hurt them. But the question is this experience that I'm more in tune to nature?
Yes. Yes, it is. So here's my question. Because I love deer too. I love basically all animals. I had a bear come up and sniff me right in the chest and scared everybody else but me. And I said hello to it, and it said hello to me, and then it ran off.
Oh,
So I've had a lot of experiences like that, but most of the spirit animals are not, you don't see. But if you have a connection with deer, if you felt a connection between you and that deer that you saw, I would say, even if you just lay down in bed or someplace, or go sit out where that was, and just sit and open yourself to everything. See if that is in fact the animal spirit that is calling to you, or that is connecting with you. So the fact that you're seeing them, people who tend to see the same animal again and again, if they just sort of like let go of everything and relax in a natural situation somewhere, if that, then you open yourself up, and then you don't ask for things. You simply open up and say, I am open to what spirit animals are interested in me. And when I did group work at the festival, a number of people sitting there in silence, and we did some humming. We got people into a light trance state. Certain animal forms, certain animal spirits came to a number of people, and they were kind of surprised because they weren't expecting like a hummingbird to come, or a snake to come, or whatever. So if you go into the woods and deer are attracted to you, it would make sense to me that if you go someplace where there's nothing and just sort of open and say, I have a feeling like there's a spirit animal for me. If a deer spirit comes to you, then you immediately can start a relationship with these spirit animals. I mean, the one that I work with the most, I've already mentioned, is a wolf spirit, and I work with it all the time. When I run into bad situations, or I need some ideas about something, or I need some help with something, I can go outside and just sit and say, something's happening, or I'm ill, or I've had a problem. And so it's a relationship. It's like when I have a dog, and my dog and I have a strong relationship. It's not a spirit animal, but we have a strong relationship that is spiritual. So if you have spiritual interactions with your animal or animals, then you are already sort of open to being interconnected with animal spirits that are out there in the world. And in fact, you might be, for example, really excited and interested in rabbits. I have a friend who has huge rabbits and all kinds of stuff. And when she goes out and does stuff, sometimes she'll just sort of open her mind, and the rabbit is her spirit animal, and it just comes and sort of directs her to one place or another, or gives her suggestions. Or it's very open. This is very primal, and it's extremely ancient. The idea of sort of pushing everything to the side and opening yourself up, not as someone who's in charge of everything, like so many people grow up believing that they control everything, and they all of that. If you sort of push that all to the side, shut down your upper brain, and just be open, and like meditation, and just say, I am open to whatever spirit animal is appropriate to me, that is called to me. And you'll be surprised how often. I mean, I had 40 people in one class, 39 in another, 42 in another. And every single person, once they got into that light trance state and just opened up, every single person except two women who stood up and said, "I'm not getting anything," and ran off. And I went, okay.
Scared them.
No, they just couldn't. They couldn't connect. They couldn't
Okay.
shut down their brain and just open up. You know, they were fidgeting and they were thinking and they were looking at their iPhone, and I was like, "You're not here. You're still locked in your brain." But everyone else came back with like amazing things. I mean, I had one guy who was like, apparently my spirit animal is a spider. And I was like, whoa, okay. And then he had very clear image of it and what it was coming, what it had to say to him and whatnot. Other people one person had a deer, one person had a bear. And I don't, I don't explain any of these things. I just listen to them. And the trees are very important to me, and I work with a lot of the trees. And when I was sitting there after doing this group, right? One of the things I had done the first group was I had them all go out into the woods and find a tree that was talking to them, that meant something to them. Don't just go up and find a tree. Go out and walk around in the woods. We were in a circle in the woods. I said, find a tree that calls to you and take your time. And they did, and everybody went, one person, it took him quite a while, but then he went further and he found a tree that wanted to talk to him. And so they all had power, they all had amazing experiences, and they came back and talked about them. And at the end, I ended with a circle, and we all did some chanting or not necessarily chanting, but some humming and going into a light trance state and just relaxing. And I said, I want everybody to honor all the trees, because all of these trees are powerful and potent, and they're waving for us. And everybody was starting to get into it and seeing all the spirits. And I said, I want to thank all the, I said something, I don't remember what. I want to thank all the spirits of the trees. And right at that moment, one tree dropped a chestnut. It bounced and landed in my lap. And everybody went, whoa. And I was like, well, apparently the trees are happy. So
There you go.
stuff
I've got another question here because I want to
Great.
get them in. She says it's a serious question, even though it doesn't sound like it. And honest to God, I was thinking about that too. So what about bugs? She said, especially the ones that seem to gravitate to you and you don't want them. Can you learn from them?
I guess. I had some people in a couple of my groups that didn't particularly like bugs, but when I had them sort of just again go into a trance state and open up to the spirits, a couple of them did get animals. One was a spider, another was a beetle, another one was something else. If they're bugs that are just coming to you, well, then they're bugs that are coming to you. I think that's different than what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking about spirits. So, but if a particular animal or insect, I don't know, comes to you again and again, you might want to sit down and sort of open your mind and say, is this something that has meaningfulness to me? So, I mean, I see lots of animals. I love all the animals. I'm a huge animal, fan.
Yeah. I mean, bugs are bugs. I mean,
Bugs are bugs.
yeah, some of them are interesting and some of them are beautiful and some of them are just, ugh.
Right.
But,
Yeah. Yeah. When I work with people doing this, I have them go into a trance state and there's no animals around, and they just open up to that spirit. And I start by going around and saying, what animals do you feel connected with? A lot of times people are spot on. They're connected with, a cat, or they're connected with snakes, or they're connected with something else. But it's surprisingly, a lot of people will open up, and the animal that comes to them in their mind as they're sort of just shutting everything down and being open is often an animal they weren't expecting, which I find fascinating. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I never, I had no idea. Everybody does something different. These spirits are drawn to you because they feel an affinity to you. And I
Mm-hmm.
always tell people, look, that doesn't mean you have to buy into that spirit. It means that spirit is attracted to you. And like I had one guy who said, "Oh, a shark keeps coming to me," and I said, "Well, is that something you want to? Do you want to work with that spirit?" And it was kind of like, "Well, I don't know." I said, "You don't, spirits. These animistic spirits are like people. You can have a relationship with them, or you can say, no, thank you. It's okay." This is really primal stuff. I mean, it goes all the way back. You don't have to be rude, but you could say, yeah, no, shark is not my thing. But thank you, and I give honor to you. But so and anyway, should I move on to something else?
Yeah, no question right now.
Okay. I want to talk about a couple of things that I think are important. The one I talk about a lot is your primal spirit. And let me just mention this. So working with really, really ancient techniques that I've managed to find and managed to work with, and talking to shamans about, what they do very primal things. They don't have books, they don't have grimoires, but they can go into a deep trance, and that their spirit animals are waiting for them, and they can ride that spirit animal, and go find the caribou. This is a group in Russia, and they are taught by shamans, or teach new shamans who I'll give you a quick example. This woman I talked to, who came from Russia and did some work here in Seattle. She was called by University of Washington to do some lectures, and also do some shamanic work in a group. She's very highly known and recommended in Siberia. She had some really interesting techniques, and one of them she talked about was, these animals have to come to you, and once you have that relationship, then you can work with them. And she learned when she was 4 years old, and and a lot of shamans find out when they're very young, and their parents are kind of freaked out by it. The kids are like, she said she came to her parents and said, "Mommy, the spirits won't leave me alone." And the minute they said that, they started crying, and said they went to the shaman and said, she's going to be a shaman. And that's how that works. So there's a lot of people there's a lot of people who have worked with spirits, even when they were young. But
Mm-hmm.
the rest of us can kind of just open to nature and open gently to these ideas, and see what spirit animals come. So for her, she was in the Olchi tribe. The spirit is a bear, and so she would go into a deep trance state, and she would go with the bear, or as a bear, into the netherworld, because her job was to find caribou. Otherwise, the people would starve to death.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I got to talk to a bunch of them, and they said, "Yeah, we have to find food for the tribe, or they'll die." And that's one of their. So this is serious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The who are doing this and working with these spirits is serious stuff. Here, us in America aren't going to starve to death if we don't have our spirit animal. but we're missing out on something, because having a spirit animal is like a direct connection with nature. And if you find that right spirit animal, and I worked with a bunch of people, and they found this, and it was a mind opener, just sort of going to a trance state, and opening up and seeing what comes. If it's the right link with you, whether it's, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a crow, or a whale, or something else. But that it doesn't have to be like a legit real whale or real crow. But if it comes to you, and it comes to you in a legit manner, it may start to come to you in dreams as well. And when you start building up a relationship with it, you start to have some interesting stuff happening, really powerful stuff. And I start by saying, look, if you're going to go into the woods, or you're going to go into the beach, or wherever you're going to go, and you want to open to nature, you want to open to all the spirits of nature, not animals that you have at your house, but if you just want to open to all nature and see what comes to you, or what's going to come and help you, start with your primal spirit. And it's a very simple thing. So I'm a tantric. I believe I have a soul. I believe I have a glowing soul. I believe that everyone and every religious person has a soul in them. I think all animals have a soul. Okay. So if you just put your hands at your chest, and if you're listening to me right now, you can do it right now. Just put your hands at your heart, right? You just sort of calm down, close your eyes a second, and visualize your heart, your soul as a glowing white incandescent light. Okay? Take 3 breaths until it is really clear. Now, that glowing light is in your heart, and it's in your hands, and your hands are over your heart. And as you slowly pull your hands back, that light is filling your hands. You can keep your eyes closed if you want. And slowly open your arms. And as you do, close your eyes and visualize that globe of light expands around you. Your arms go out and it expands until you are sitting in a circle, a globe of pure white light. Once it is clear, once you feel it and see it, you are in a magical circle. It's that simple. Your soul, your spirit can be extended into a circle. That way, when you call or you open to spirits, spirit animals, animal spirits, only the ones that are real, that are important, that are not problematic, will be able to come to you. So that is, I'm making it a little simple from the book. I have a little chapter. But once you do that, when you're done, you close it up. When you've had your work, when you've done your work, I have a lot of techniques in the book on how to then work with these spirits and how to keep going. But when you're done with it, you reach out your hands, you close your eyes, and you breathe deeply 3 times, and you bring your hands slowly back to your heart. And as you do, the light slowly gets pulled into you. The globe shrinks until it's back in your heart again. And then I always put my hands together and I thank the spirits, and I thank all the animals and animal spirits around me, and I thank my own guardian angel, or whatever you want to call it. I like the term Atman, but you're a spirit, and it comes in, and what you'll find out is that experience of expanding your spirit and then bringing it back in again, you will feel much more charged, much more energetic, and you will have brought the nature into your spirit, and you will feel a lot better.
Oh, yeah. And I was doing it while you were talking, and I got interrupted by a cat that bit me on the ankle because her disc was empty.
I'm getting it all wanky. Sorry. So I can, we have a few minutes apparently. And I
We
want to,
have like 2 minutes because
oh,
then we want to tell him about your website and all that good stuff.
okay. I thought it said 6 minutes, so I'm off then. Um, so if anybody wants to find out more about me, they can go to feralmagic.com. And that's my blog, and it's also my website. And Feral, Feral, and Magick is Magick, and then .com. So that I have stuff there. And my book, Feral Magic, which I wish I could show you, but I can't. It's really nifty cover. I'm really happy.
It is.
I just got a box of them, and they will be in the store soon. So I'm super happy with the cover. It's got a wolf and a raven. It's just really well done.
It's colorful too.
It's very nice. And if
And
you
you're holding the book, yeah.
yeah, if you go through the whole book, they put lots of images all through it, which like really surprised me, and I don't know, kind of amazed me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited about the whole thing.
Yeah. So okay, 2 minutes, which we're going to talk about, if you can.
You want me to talk about 2 minutes? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, let me see. Where was I? I had something here. So there's a couple of things that I recommend when communing with your spirit animals. I'm just going to give you a couple of things right away.
Mm-hmm.
Always project a sphere of light from your primal spirit that surrounds you both. Be receptive, listen, and be open to the unusual and sometimes difficult to understand communications you receive from spirit animals. Be open and believe and be open and caring. Remember that feelings and empathy encourage understanding. If a relationship is consistent, accept that the experience you are having is valid and real. Share ideas and positive attitudes. Sharing ideas and positive attitudes are crucial to cultivating your interaction with the spirit. Assume that you are interacting with a very primal being. Show respect and listen and observe what this being is communicating. Be hospitable and emotionally accepting. Think of it as meeting with an important person. And then you want to come up with some special ideas, like the animal spirit, or when you're starting to work with animals, think about how are you going to answer this? Why are you choosing to work with me? When a spirit comes to you, you want to be asking or be able to answer, why are you choosing to work with me? What can I do for you? How can I better communicate with you? How can we strengthen our bond? What do I need to learn from you? And then here are some suggestions. Keep your question to the spirit, whether telepathic or spoken, very short and to the point. Be very clear. Assume you are dealing with a being from another world, in essence, in the world of nature. Such spirits understand basic, primal, clear, simple communications best. Whether they be telepathic, spoken, or visualized, you can visualize these things in your mind. Don't use idioms, slang, or complex thoughts or sentences. They are animal spirits. Avoid complicated questions. Don't ask for things or advice a spirit cannot understand or relate to.
I gotta interrupt. I think you have to leave that dangling carrot because we really have to go.
That's fine.
But they know where to find you, and please come back anytime. I mean, it's very interesting, and like I said, we could do another hour and still not touch all the things that we need to know. So that'll work.
All right, that's fantastic.
All right, so thanks again for coming back for part 2, and we'll make part 3. Let's do that.
That'd be fun. Yeah, I got a lot more.
Good. And so thanks for the listeners that are listening live and the podcast peeps. And until next time, everybody, blessed be and merry meet again. Good night.
Thank you you for tuning into this episode of Stirring the Cauldrons Masterclass. Please join us on the last Thursday of the month at the same time for another great class and more cauldron stirring. Any rebroadcast or other use of this program without explicit permission is strictly prohibited. Copyright 2024. The Holiday Weasel by Kevin MacLeod is licensed through Incompetech.